Hello and welcome. My name is Brenda. My channel is Handwork Maniac. I have been trying to get this video done for weeks and today is the day. It's just going to happen today. This is still the winter wall. I need to change that out. I need to do several things, but nope, we're just going on to make the video. Otherwise it will be forever before I get it done. All right, I have had several people shout me out lately, and I wanted to say thank you, Pam and Steph, on Just Keep Stitching. That was so nice of them, and they said such kind things about me. Thank you. And Running with Scissors, Stitching with Jane and Julie also gave me a great shout out. Thank you so much. And I know there were others. I think I just didn't make a list. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. I love this community and all the wonderful stitchy friends that I have. Thank you. And I also got some stitchy kindness in the mail. My sweet friend Anne sent me these Needleminders. Look how cute. It's a gnome with sunflowers and a gnome driving a car and a mermaid tail. Aren't they darling? Thank you, Anne. They are from DD Needleminders. DDs, capital D, capital D, apostrophe S, Needleminders is where she got them from apparently. The one with sunflowers said, sunflower wishes and honeybee kisses. And this needs to go on the gnome project. And I know which one this other one needs to go on as well. In fact, all three of them, I know where this one needs to go. So they will be used immediately. Thank you, Anne. That was so sweet of you. And this is some patterns that I purchased recently on Etsy. Oh, let's see. Today is Tuesday, June 6th, 2023. I'm going to just a couple of kind of housekeeping things, and then I'll go through my Maynia, 23 pieces I did for Maynia. If you want to know more about that, go to 2 videos ago where I did the Maynia pre-video. Then I have some first I'll do finishes before Maynia, and then Maynia, and then I have some new starts and some other things that I worked on that I'll show you. So there's going to be lots of projects that I'll show you today. It's going to be like a mini whip parade. All right, this was a new designer I found on Etsy called A New Creation Studio. And this is the Christmas Nativity Sampler. Look how pretty that is. So I needed to buy that one. And then she also has these band samplers, one for each season, except for autumn. That will come out, she said, later this year. This is summer band sampler, and they each one have a quilt here at the bottom. I love that. I love the colors. I love the border. I think I need to start this one soon, this summer, because it's just calling me. But that is A New Creation Studio on Etsy. She has lots of cute patterns. Check her out. Oh, and this is one, my dad made another wooden frame for me, and I think this will be perfect on it. He is a fly fisherman, has been his whole life. This is an Elsa Williams kit that I got on eBay, and it's called Spring Creek Fever. Has a fly fisherman right here. And I want to stitch this to go in the frame that my dad made. Haven't started it yet. It's a kit. Okay. Let's go to finishes. I just have a couple. And let me reach them. in the Snapshot series, I showed you a picture of this one last time because it was at my office, but here it is in person. I finished the May Snapshot. These are monthly series by Pine Mountain Designs. This is May Snapshot. And they all have this, these squares with the photo corners on the edges, like they're photos from your vacation that you went somewhere, or from your month, but the things that happened in your month of May. This is the one I have at my office currently. This is June. I love June. Look at that car and the camper van, and it's got a canoe on top. I love the bear looking at the tent. You can't really see the blades. My color of gray is too close to my fabric, but this is a Swiss Army knife and a match and a compass. I love the colors in this one. It's so cute. And I just have one left, July, to do. And then I will have done all 12 of them. So exciting. Let's see, I haven't started July yet. But this is what it looks like. It's red, white, and blue. Pine Mountain Designs. I'm going to do it on this same fabric that I did June on, which is 32 count. I think it's natural, 32 count natural. Or raw, it's sometimes called. And these are the beautiful colors that it calls for. And then this whole series will be done. I'm so excited. Those have been so fun, and I love displaying it in my office. I bought a whole bunch of, I think this is 4x6. This is not an 8x10 frame. This is the next one down. What is that? 4x6? 5x7. This is a 5x7 frame. Sorry, I start filming and my brain just goes on vacation, I think. 5x7 frame. So I bought a whole bunch of pieces of just 5x7 cardboard. You could get like a package of them on Amazon. And then I used some double-sided Stitchery tape that Yarn Tree makes. It's called Stitchery tape. And I just put some double-sided tape on it, centered it, folded the fabric around, and stuck it to the sticky stuff on the back. It is acid-free double-sided tape specifically made for stitchers to use. And then this is just a frame that has these little slidey things on it. And then I just stuff it in there. So I haven't done I didn't actually like lace these and everything that you're supposed to. I just stuck them to boards and stuck them in here. Someday I'll probably fix the back so it's a little more permanent, but for right now that works just fine. Oh, and then my other finish is Summer Schoolhouse by Brenda Gervais. It is 4 patterns, 4 leaflets, and it makes these 5 designs. Some people stitch them all as one piece. The suggestion on the covers of the patterns is to make them into little pillows. 1, 2, 3, where's the other one? So this is lesson number 1. Summer Schoolhouse by Brenda Gervais. Lesson number 2. That has the 2 little ones. Lesson number 3. And then lesson number 4 also comes with a little pattern for to make a strawberry and a horn book. And I like the strawberry, so I stitched that, but I did not stitch the horn book. So here's lesson. I used the called for fabric, 28 count, even weave, Mushroom Lugana, 1/1. So I used the called for colors, all except for this brightest red was supposed to be used brick, and I wanted, my used brick was a very rusty brown color. So I am using Gentle Arts Ruby Slipper instead. But the darker red is Cayenne, and I am using that, which was called for. So it's all the called for colors except for used brick. I used Ruby Slipper instead. 1/1 on 28 count Lugana Mushroom Even Weave. So there's number 1. B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Okay, these two. Oh gosh. Having a hard time holding them without dropping them. These two are number 2. This one is number 3. I love the flag on the house. It has an alternate design you can put there instead if you don't want the flag. I think it was a vine of flowers. Can't remember now. This is number 4. And then this is the little strawberry. And those are, I have one more finish as part of Maynia, but because it was a start and a finish on the same day. But otherwise, I think that's all my finishes. Okay. On May 1st, I worked on, I had a piece on May 1st that I started on May 1st a couple of years ago, so I keep working on it until it's finished. That's how I do my Maynia. You can get more. I explained the whole thing 2 videos ago in the Maynia video. So on May 1st, I continued to work on Primavera in Citta, which is Spring in the City by Crocette a Gogo. And I'm stitching mine on 46 count raw linen with the called for DMC. Oh my goodness. And I extended this top over further, added another house. That one is so cute. I love working on that one. She came out with Autumn in the City recently. There is Christmas in the City already. Or maybe it's Summer in the City. I think it's Summer in the City that just came out recently. But she has all 4 seasons now, and I think I want to stitch all of them. I think they are so cute. On May 2nd, I continued to work on R-Kade by Long Dog Samplers. Mine is on a piece of 40 count, Picture This plus Conifer. And I am using Silks for You, a hank of Silks for You silk on it, 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. And it is Silks for You PR114 is the variegated color. And then the more solid color, I don't know what the number is. It's a very kind of a ferny, taupey green. But it was also a Silks for You from several years ago. And I continued this section out, was what I worked on. On May 3rd, I continued to work on Mystery Marquois by Isabelle Harcourt-Vattier. Mine is on 46 count antique white linen, and I'm using, mine's are dark blues. I'm using Gloriana in the Navy silk, Dinky Dyes Pacific Ocean silk, DMC 644, and Rainbow Gallery Petite Braid 10, PB10. And I finished this E, oh my goodness, and started the square next to it. The Petite Treasure braid is a pearlescent white that accents the letters just a little bit. I always enjoy working on that one. It is lovely. And then on May 4th, I continued to work on Patchwork Sampler by Jan Houtman, or Jan Houtman. This one is also on 46 count antique white linen, and I'm just using a variety of silks, overdyed silks. I'm going to be doing purples, blues, and greens. I'll do kind of a section of purple, and then I'll move into blues, and then I'll move into greens as I go down. And that is sideways. Pretty sure it goes this way. That one's always fun to work on as well. Although every time I start a new motif, I have to pick another color, and that's stressful sometimes. Trying to decide what color to do next, and will it look good there. On May 5th, I continued to work on Carolyn Manning Fairy Square. Mine is stitched on 46 count Frost by Be Stitch Me with And I completely changed the colors. They are all DMC, but I did a completely different, well, I changed about half of them to be a slightly different color palette. Was able to finish all of this over here. That was fun. Oh, and I finished some of this border down here too. Oh, and I worked on, this always makes me think of my flower garden, my wee village. I finally got out there Saturday and worked on my wee village. So I will put a clip at the end, or Andrew, my son, will put a clip at the end of, I did a short before video and then did a longer after video of what it looked like over the winter, what had happened, and then what it looked like after I cleaned it up. On May 6th, I continued to work on a Heaven and Earth design called the Stitching Shelf by Amy Stewart. The artwork is by Amy Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I am up here working right here. This is 25 count Lugana even weave. I'm stitching 1/1 with one fabric thread with one floss, one strand of floss over one fabric thread, full cross. These are parking bobbins. They're Bob Ease bobbins with a button on the front added to the front and a magnet glued onto it so that they don't flop around. I can stick them to where I want them to be, and then that keeps my threads organized because I use the parking method when I do full coverage. My daughter-in-law has an Etsy store. My daughter-in-law Hannah, her Etsy store is called SunshineMamasDesigns. There will be a link in the description box below, and I bet Andrew will put it across the screen there for me. She makes these parking bobbins and sells them on Etsy if you are interested. She also has really cute Needleminders. She's just added a whole bunch of new stuff to her shop, so go check it out. For this one, she made me 4 that are different seasons because this particular piece has 4 seasons in it. The top row is spring, then summer, then fall, then winter. So she made me 1 Needleminder from each season. They're darling. And they work well for me. But if you don't do full coverage with the parking method, check out her Needleminder. She also has some really cute. And if you'd like something that she doesn't have shown on her Etsy store, message her. See if she might have the stuff to make it and could make it for you. Then on May 7th, I had finished the piece that I started there the year before, so I got a new start that day. I started Hello Pumpkin by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. This was a gift from my brother Walter and his wife Juliana a couple of years ago when it was a stitch along. I'm stitching it with the called for DMC on this piece of fabric flare. I don't know the name of it, but it is 32 count fabric flare. And I got the fox done and a couple of leaves in the tree. But I love this because it's sky at the top and kind of green grass at the bottom. I got it from Stitchery Express. 32 count fabric, 2 strands of floss over 2 fabric threads. On May 8th, I continued to work on Praiseworthy Stitches, A Churchyard Christmas. Using the called for fabric, which is 32 count Picture This Plus Mirage. And I'm using the called for overdyed threads. 2 strands of floss over 2 fabric threads. And I finished the snowman, added these trees, started on the nativity. I think this might be a shepherd and a camel. One of these camels over here is wandering off, and here's another camel. So that was fun. I worked on this section right here. I think I added some more. I think I finished world because it says joy to the world across the bottom. That was very fun to work on. On May 9th, I worked on Mirabilia Sleeping Princess. Continued to work on. Mine is stitched on 32 count water lily linen, and I am using the called for DMC. 2 strands of floss over 2 fabric threads. She's getting so big and looking so good. I worked over here and got more of this done. More mattresses. I just love all the bright colors in that one. She's just beautiful. On May 10th, I had finished the piece that was on that day from previous years, so I had a new start. I started Autumn Garden by Wild Violet Cross Stitch, and it was part of the Autumn Garden palette of threads from Cottage Garden Samplings. Wild Violet Cross Stitch and Top Knot Stitcher had a palette of threads put together from Cottage Garden Samplings, and then asked several designers to make a small chart that used those colors. And this was the one that Wild Violet designed, called Autumn Garden. And I used the Autumn Garden palette Cottage Garden threads. If you, oh my gosh. Cross stitch the rainbow. Hashtag Autumn Garden Stitch Along, SAL. You will see the other charts that go with that palette of thread. And right now they're doing another one called Tea Time that has a palette of silks that goes with it. Oh, word. And this was the one that I started and finished on May 10th. This is 32 count swank by Fortnite Fabrics and Cottage Garden, the called for Cottage Garden samplings threads, 2 strands of floss over 2 fabric threads. And it turned out so cute. It's the most darling design. And then on May 11th, I continued to work on American Sampler by Sandy Orton. Sometimes this is in a magazine, March 2011 of Cross Stitch and Needlework is where I have my copy from. It's also available on the website Cooler Design Studio, Kooler Design Studio. You can get the chart there, and I believe it's called Vintage American Sampler on that website. But it is by Sandy Orton. It has a lot of specialty stitches in it. I've been working on it for years, but I would really like to get it finished this summer. I usually work on it in the daylight hours. I unrolled the whole thing in the Maynia video 2 videos ago. You can see it there. But I finished all the queen stitches of this flower and the beginning of the pot, and I'm bringing that background, that alternating half stitch background down. And then I'm going to go back and finish filling in here. This is 40 count Lakeside Linens pair. This Colonial Man is a half stitch over 1 thread, and there will be the women will match over here. That was tricky on 40 count. All the flowers are queen stitches. This outside border is a rice stitch. The house is part cross stitch and part there's some sections of it that are over 1 10th stitch because I can't get a full cross over 1 on 40 count. They're too thick. I'm using the called for Avera Soie silks with a couple of changes. If you're interested in the changes, let me know. One strand of silk over 2 fabric threads, except for the parts that are over 1, and then that would be 1 strand of silk over 1 fabric thread. And then the specialty stitches, you just follow the directions. They're over all kinds of different numbers of threads. Okay, on May 12th, I had finished the projects that I had on that day in the years previous, so I had a new start. I started Bluebird Sampler by Shannon Christine Designs. Oh, mine is on 32 count antique white even weave, it looks like. Two strands of floss over 2 fabric threads with the called for DMC and the called for gold beads. And it is just gorgeous. Shannon Christine has the most gorgeous shading of colors in all of her patterns. It's just beautiful. On May 13th, I continued to work on Serenity Harbor by the Bay Needle Arts. It was originally a stitch along, and she still sells it as 12 separate patterns. I got mine on her Etsy site by the Bay Needle Arts. Mine is on, oh, that's not helpful. Oh, I think it says it on here. 40 count Lakeside Vintage Lentil, 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. And I did use the called for DMC, except anywhere that there was going to be large blocks of solid color, I changed. I found a variegated silk or cotton that was a similar color because I thought it would look cool in those big blocks of. I think I'm on part 6, so I'm about halfway down. This water is 1 color of variegated silk by Dinky Dyes. And I just did it in puddle shapes to make it look like that, but it is just 1 color. And then there's a darker blue right around the edge for the water. And I finished all of this area of grass, added these sheep. Love that one. I can't wait to work on this more this summer. It just feels like summer to me. I love working on it in the summer. 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. If I didn't already say that. And then on May 14th, I had finished the previous project that was on that day the years before, so I had a new start. And this one was not in the Maynia plans video 2 videos ago because it was in the bottom of the basket and I just totally missed it. It's by Bright Needle and it's called Relax, and it's just that little pillow right there. Mine is on 32 count antique white linen, and it is over 1 thread. So it's 1 strand of floss over 1 fabric thread because it's a tiny little pillow. And that is what I have done so far. Using the called for colors, and I believe that's the called for fabric. Yep. So all the called for on that one. It has the chair has a lamp next to it and a little scissor fabric bin that closes up like a TV tray. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about if you're as old as I am, with yarn in it. It is the cutest little pillow. May 15th was also a new start. I started Stitching Summer by Twin Peak Primitives. I love those, that they're fishing off the top of spools of thread. This was a gift from a dear friend, and I can't wait to stitch it. Also hoping to work on this summer. Which way does it go? This way. Oh, what fabric is this? That's a good question. It will be in the description box below because I can't remember what the name of it is. It's probably a 46 count linen. I'm using 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. And I have a bobbin, almost part of a spool of thread, 2 little crabs, and a swimming suit and a towel hanging on the thread that's coming off of the spool. And part of the sand in the ocean down here. Love that one. It is so cute. Cannot remember the name of that fabric, but I will find out and write it in here so I won't forget. May 16th was also a new start. It is Jardin Privé, the land of the gnomes. I found out that this translates to the land of the gnomes. Several viewers helped me with that. Thank you. There is a whole series of these, different seasons. I own all of them. This is the only one I've started so far. I'm doing mine with the called for DMC. I do think I changed to the, I might have changed to the white. It calls for 38.65, but I wanted the white to stand out, and I can't remember if I changed it. Nope, 38.65. On 25 count Lugana even weave, 1 strand of floss over 1 fabric thread, so it is 1 over 1. So it will be tiny. So cute. I can't wait to work on that this summer either. May 17th was also a new start. It is Salt Lake City by Awesome Pattern Studio. I live in Utah. I'm about 45 minutes from Salt Lake. So I thought that would be a fun one to do. And this fabric is Silk Weaver Summer Winds 40 count. I'm using, does it go this way? Yes. 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. And I think it will be so pretty on this fabric because it will look like summer sky. And then on May 18th, I had another new start. Home is Where My Stitching Is by the Primitive Hair. And I'm using 36 count agave linen in the color agave. And I'm using, the white is Floche. It's made by DMC. It's a product called Floche. It's just a little bit thicker than DMC. I'm just using 1 strand of it over 2 fabric threads on 36 count. And then the other colors are sulky, 12 weight sulky, 1 strand. It's my own color conversion. This is not what is called for. And I got quite a bit of the house done, 2 windows, some part of the border, pair of scissors. Love that one. That one's fun to work on. I love the Floche. Comes untwisted, easier than sulky. Sulky never comes untwisted. The floss isn't as tight of a twist, so it comes untwisted a little easier. But I just can't use a really, really long strand of thread, or be careful with it. But it does lay flatter. Like sulky, you can't squish sulky. It is a really tightly twisted circular piece. What do you call that? So it looks beautiful, but it doesn't lay quite as flat as floss, because floss is more squishy and it will squish down flat. I hope that made some kind of sense. I think they're both beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I would stitch with both of them. That was just a difference I noticed in them. May 19th is Black Vintage Sampler. Which was another new start by Owl Forest Embroidery. That is not the cover photo. I have loved this one ever since it came out. I just love the design of it. I love the motifs. So beautiful. This is 20 count Ada opalescent. 20 count opalescent Ada. One strand of black sulky 12 weight cotton. I bought a cone of it, so I would just have lots of black. I know it won't take the whole cone to do the piece, I don't think. So I'm using one strand of 12 weight sulky, S-U-L-K-Y, over one Ada square on the 20 count opalescent Ada. And I love it. I just think it's looking so awesome. You can get the sulky 12 weight from sulky.com. They have a website here in the United States. I'm trying to think. They have their company is European. It starts with a G. I want to say it's like Gutermans, but they also have a base in the US with a US website, sulky.com. Starting to lose my words and not make any sense at all, sorry. Okay, on May 20th, I continued to work on Hoity Toity. Nope, not that one. By Long Dog Samplers. Mine is on 40 count mallow linen. And I am using a silk conversion by Mrs. Citta Silks. And then I made a couple of changes. I didn't use the pink. I added some reds instead. And I changed a couple of the other, I added I think 2 other colors and changed a few colors to a different symbol. Mostly so they'd show up better in the black border. But I put all of those changes in the description box below. Pattern Keeper says that I am almost at 90%. Oh my goodness, let's just take that off. And that I have about 3,700 stitches left to go. I finished the border and I've been working on this section right here. 1 strand of silk over 2 fabric threads on 40 count mallow. It is such a beautiful piece. On the 21st, I continued to work on the Prairie Schooler ABCs. There's 3 letters per leaflet. You have to buy all the leaflets if you want to do the whole alphabet. I am doing the whole alphabet on 1 piece of fabric, but I've combined G and H and V and W into 1 square so that it will be 24 squares instead of 26 with that, and I'm going to lay it out like that. So it will be 6 letters in 4 rows. And you can see where I combined G and H. I'll just use different parts of G and H and combine it into 1 square. And then V and W. The designs are not all the same size, so I am having to edit each design, either leaving some rows out on the edge or something to force them all to be 70 by 100. I drew a picture for myself so I could figure out how big my piece of fabric needed to be. I'm using 28 count cream linen. And my piece of fabric, I'm stitching over 1 strand of thread. So tiny little stitches, 1 over 1 with the called for DMC on 28 count. So if you do that, my piece of fabric is 22 inches by 22 inches is how I cut. I have a lot of people that keep asking me how big my piece of fabric is. But remember, that's 1 over 1 on 28 count linen. And I'm combining those 2 squares so that it ends up being 6 by 4. So if you're going to do something different than that, you'll need a different size piece of fabric. And I started working on D. I did change the red in these first 3 squares. It was supposed to be a really dark red, and I chose a lighter red that's used later in the alphabet so it would show up better. And I am going to have to do, a little bit of designing to combine those squares. You could do, if you just wanted to do it as charted, I think there are 27 squares because they added an and. I'm trying to remember. I think you can do 3 rows of 9 if you don't want to do any editing, but you will still have to make them the same size somehow because they're not all 70 by 100. They're all different sizes. So I have to do a little bit of editing to make them all the same size. Or you could just make them all start at the same on the bottom, and then they'd be different heights on each row and different widths. And then on May 22nd, I had a new start, my last one. This beautiful fabric was gifted to me by my friend Mary Ann, who I get to see soon. I'm so excited. I don't know the name of the fabric. I'm stitching this JBW Designs French Country Love. No, sorry, I thought about stitching that one. I'm not stitching that one. JBW with Love is the one I decided to stitch. And I tried using the thread that I told you in the Maynia video that I was going to use, and it didn't show up. So I switched to and that is not it. I'm now using Water Lily Silk Fraises du Bois. I'm pretty sure Fraises is strawberries. Du Bois, is that strawberries and cream, maybe? Water lilies. Looks like I'm using one strand of floss over 2 fabric threads, maybe. I think. But this is what I have so far, and I think it is gorgeous. It's going to be so pretty. So that is the end of the Maynia report. But then I had several other new starts since my last video and other pieces that I worked on. So now we'll look at those. Oh, itchy nose. All the linen flying around. This is Seaworthy Sampler. It was a design Teresa Kogut did for Stitch West Retreat last year. I don't think it's been released to the public yet, but I think it will eventually. I'm stitching mine on 46 count Lunar by Stitch Me. And I was able to pull that out and work on it a little bit. That was fun. Started on the sails of this boat and part of the ocean and some fish. Did some more of the border. This little fish is jumping out of the water. That was been a lot of fun to work on. 1 strand of floss with the called for floss over 2 fabric threads on 46 count Lunar. I worked a little more on This Crazy Life by Cricklewood Crossing. This was also a design for a retreat, the Crazy Woman Stitching Retreat, which was next to the Crazy Woman River in Casper, Wyoming last year. Jenny, the designer, Cricklewood Crossing, is a friend of mine, and she said she has just released this chart to the public. So she has an Etsy site, Cricklewood Crossing, or she also has an Instagram account called Cricklewood Crossing. If you don't see the design, message her, because she said it is available to the public now if you're interested. Mine is on 40 count Picture This Plus pewter, so I'm not using the called for fabric. I am using the called for threads. Except, excuse me, I changed the taupe color around this orange flower to be a little bit darker because it wasn't showing up on this fabric that I chose, the called for color. And then this brown flower I decided to do with an over-dyed thread that is Gloriana Honeyed Turquoise. It's got browns and turquoises in it. And I'm taking, Gloriana comes in, is a 12-stranded thread. So when you cut a length, it's got 12 strands in it. So I've cut a length and I pull out 1 strand because I'm using 1 strand of floss. and I did one little narrow strip that was only 3 or 4 stitches wide with that piece of thread. And then I pulled out another one that was exactly the same and stitched next to it, another strip. And then I pulled out another one and stitched another strip. So all of these strips came out of the same length of floss, so they variegated about the same way. They all started a little higher or lower down here, so that made this kind of curve. So that was how I made that do that. You'll see that the next length of thread that I cut was variegated a little differently, so that petal is looking a little different. I like to do one strip here and then one strip here and then one here and one here and work in towards the middle. I've found out that that works a little better. And I'm almost, oh, I also took some of this variegated thread and did this motif right here. And I might do another small one down here somewhere, just so that this color was used somewhere else in the pattern. If you just use a, you know, change out one of the colors and only use it in one place, sometimes it looks a little funny. So I like to use it somewhere else in the pattern just so it feels like it belongs. I love the saying. What I love most about this crazy life is the adventure of it. Beautiful bird. I believe she said it's a meadow lark. Beautiful pattern. I just have a little bit to go down here and then it will be finished. 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads on 40 count is what I'm doing. I am in a couple of stitch alongs that I'm trying to keep up with. This one is oh, and I didn't print out. This is called The Sewing Room by Little Dove Designs. This was section 1. It's a 6-part stitch along. We now have all of this plus this, I believe. And I've got the first 3 sections done, but I don't have the June section done yet. Mine is on 46 count Frost by Stitch Me. I'm using the called for DMC, 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. The June section will be right here, but I haven't stitched it yet. That one has been so fun to work on. And then I have a digital subscription to the Cross Stitcher magazine. And in the April 2023, this is what the cover looks like, April 2023. I saw this pattern by the same designer. Trying to think of what her name is, Little Dove Designs. I can't think of it. It's listed as her real name in the magazine, but it is, she is the designer for Little Dove Designs. And I noticed that this jar of buttons looked just the same, and I thought, this is a kitchen design that matches the sewing room design. So I immediately printed that out because I also want to stitch this one. I think it is so cute, and I will hang it next to the sewing room. So darling. So that was a fun find. As people say all the time, I have enough stitching to keep me busy until I'm 100. At least. Okay. The Sunnyside Sampler Stitch Along. A bunch of us that went to Stitch West last fall decided to stitch this year. We divided it into 12 sections. And I finally made a picture of that so I could keep track of where I was. I have a picture of this on my Instagram showing you the divisions. The stitch-along leader is Colette. Her YouTube channel is The Highway Stitcher. Her Instagram channel is Colette Stitches. And she also has a picture of this on her Instagram. You'll have to scroll back a little bit to see it on mine. I stitched it back. I showed it back in October. We're doing a section a month so that we can have it done by next October. This October, 2023. It is by the Drawn Thread. It does call for silks, is the called for, which is what I am using, the called for silks. But there were several people that wanted to do it with DMC, and there wasn't a conversion, and so I pulled out my silks and pulled out my DMC and did my own conversion for my friends that wanted to use DMC. So if you're interested in that DMC conversion, just email me. My email address is in the description box below, and I'll send that to you. Or leave me a comment that you're interested, and I'll give you my email address and you can email me. I am using the called for fabric, which is 32 count raw or natural. And I am using the called for silks, although, and I forget to say this every time, I'm so sorry. The directions call for 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads on 32 count, because Drawn Thread does that a lot. That's just what they like, the look that they like, that designer. I prefer a more coverage on my fabric, so I am using 2 strands. And this is what I have done so far. I don't have the June section done yet. If you want to see what 1 strand on 32 count looks like, go watch Pam of Just Keep Stitching. She's doing the same one. She is using 1 strand. You can see what it looks like on hers, and hers is gorgeous too. I'm using 2 strands, and I keep forgetting to tell you that. I'm so sorry. This saying up here, keep on the sunny side of life, the song, is done over 1. And then there is some flowers in this alphabet down here. That is a very simple specialty stitch. It's just back stitches in a circle that make it look like a flower. The rest of it is just regular cross stitch. But it has been so fun to work on. I'm so enjoying it. Feel free to join us. The hashtag is Sunnyside Sampler SAL, or we also have another hashtag. We have 2 hashtags. The other hashtag is October to October Stitch Along. So it's OCTTO OCTSAL, and I'll have those in the description box as well. For my birthday in April, I started this piece by Sarah. And what I found out was this is 3 different languages down here. So the name of this chart is Summer, which is Ete, maybe in Italian, I'm thinking, or Estate in French. I'm thinking this one's French and this one's Italian. I can't remember now. In English, it's Summer. So the name of this pattern is Summer by Sarah. It calls for DMC, but it calls for a lot of different colors of DMC. But I was so excited. I've wanted to stitch a Sarah pattern for so long. I think they are so pretty. I'm stitching mine on 40 count. Maybe I can find something that's not. Oh, nope, that's not going to work. Nope, that's not going to work. Something that's not so polka dotty behind there. There we go. This is 40 count Scout, the color Scout by Seraphim. It's got some blue in it and some brown tan. I love it. I think it's perfect. I did 2 houses, this darling clothesline, these little flowers going up into the next house. I started in the middle. So enjoying this one. I'm also excited to work on this one over the summer. One strand of the called for DMC over 2 fabric threads. And then my friend Robin and I, who have decided to start to stitch all the tiny towns. And I had another viewer, sorry, I can't remember your name, who said she's stitching them all too. So we decided to start Honey of a Tiny Town. We needed to start Honey of a Tiny Town. And I decided to do mine tiny this time. So I'm stitching it on this piece of oh man, what is it? I don't know if it's 28 count or 32 count. Now I can't remember. Looks like raw. It was a scrap that I had. And I just started on the end. I just have a little bit done so far. One strand of floss over. Do you know what? I think this is 1/2 on 46 count linen. That's what that is. And I believe this is raw or natural, 46 count. And then I had one more new start. A dear friend gave me this pattern for my birthday. It is by Bent Creek. It's called House of Flowers. It was a kit. It came with this linen. Oh, maybe it says in here. I bet it says in here. "18 count linen and pearl cotton. So because it's over 2 threads on this 18 count linen, it makes it 9 stitches per inch, which is pretty big, which is why it comes with pearl cotton to stitch it with. I think this is pearl cotton number, oh, now I can't remember. 3? Can't remember which is bigger, 3 or 5. I'll put it in the description box below. But that's how much I have done so far. I think it's so cute, and it's so fun to work with that big pearl cotton on this large linen. I don't know what color linen this is, this 18 count linen. It doesn't say, but it came with the kit. I think you can only buy this pattern as a kit. Okay, was that enough for you? And I'm gonna have another new start. I know, you're all thinking she is crazy. I had a wonderful viewer named Lisa ask me if I would be interested in doing a stitch along with her. This is called Spring Underwood by Filigram. Beautiful meadowy forest scene with a fox right in the middle, quaking aspen. It's a beautiful piece. And of course I said yes. So we decided to start it on the first day of summer, which is June 21st, I believe. I'm going to stitch mine on this 40 count natural brown linen. I think it's natural or raw by Zweigart. And I'm using the called for dinky dyed silks. It'll be 1 strand of floss over 2 fabric threads. So I guess that's plans. That's part of plans. I am going to StitchCon very soon. Need to get packing. I don't really have any other plans for June except a lot of summer stitching. This Thursday is my last day of work before my summer break, so I'm just gonna stitch and stitch and stitch. I have to be back to work on August 1st. So I just want to enjoy the summer and just stitch. Get some sunshine, get some exercise. I do want to do some cleaning and organizing in my house. Otherwise, my plans for the summer are just stitch, 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 stitch. Thanks for watching. Hope you're having a lovely June. And I will get back here after StitchCon to make another video. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.